rights and the birth order matters. So throughout Egypt, there was plenty of food. People cried out for food, and people came from all around to Egypt to buy grain from Joseph because the famine was severe throughout the whole world by now. So Jacob, back over here, heard that grain was available in Egypt, and he said, well, why are y'all just standing around with each other? Why don't you go get some grain there, to his sons? So Joseph's 10 older brothers went down to Egypt to buy grain. By the way, remember, this is 11, right? Remember back over there when Joseph was talking about his dreams? Remember back, he says the sun, moon, and 11 stars bowed low before me. It makes a point to say, okay, so now the 10 brothers, 11 stars, keep that in mind, went down to Egypt to buy some grain, but Jacob wouldn't let Joseph's younger brother, Benjamin, go with them for fear that some harm might come to him. So Jacob's sons arrived in Egypt with others to buy food, just like everybody else, for the famine was in the land of Canaan as well, which is where they were. So Joseph was now governor again of all Egypt. When they arrived, they bowed their faces to the ground, just like the dream said, but they're one short. And Joseph recognized them instantly. And what he does is human, and it's part of the story. I'm not saying it was right. So he pretended to be a stranger and spoke very harshly to them. Where have you come from? And they said, we came to get some food. And he says, no, I think you're spies. I think you're spies, and you've come to see how vulnerable our land has become. And they said, no, my lord, we're your servants. We simply come for food. Remember, we're all brothers, members of the same family, and we're being honest. He goes, no, you're spies, and you've come to see how vulnerable we've become. They said again, there are actually 12 of us. Your servants are all brothers of a man living in the land of Canaan. Our youngest brother is back there with our father right now, and one of our brothers is no longer with us. Blah, 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 blah. They just blab it all, because he kept pressing them and pressing them. Joseph insisted, I said you're spies, and you will never leave Egypt unless your youngest brother comes. They're like, he says, one of you must go get your brother. I'll keep the rest of you here in prison. Then we'll find out whether or not your story's true. By the life of Pharaoh, if it turns out that you don't have a younger brother, I'm going to consider you spies. So now they got to prove it. And Joseph's finding a way to see all of his brothers. He eventually figures out a way to see his dad too. So Joseph put them all in prison for 3 days. I'm a God-fearing man. If you do as I say, I'll let you live. Choose one of your brothers to remain in prison. The rest of you can go home. But you must bring me the youngest brother back. Speaking among themselves, they said something very important here. Clearly we are being punished because of what we did to Joseph long ago. We saw anguish when he pleaded for his life, but we wouldn't listen, and that's why we're in trouble now. Reuben says, didn't I tell you shouldn't do this? You wouldn't listen to me. Of course, they didn't know that Joseph understood them, for he had been speaking to them through an interpreter. So he heard everything that they were saying. Now he turned from them and began to weep. Then he got his composure, and it says he chose Simeon from among them and had him tied up right before their eyes. You think, well, that's cruel. It's like, that's exactly what they did to him. He's getting a little revenge here. Okay. He ordered his servants to fill them in sacks and return each one's payment to the top of the sack. So he told them, fill their sacks up, but then their payment that they're going to pay, put that in the top of the sack. So when the brothers came home, they told Jacob, their dad, what had happened. And they said he was very harsh with us, and he accused us of being spies. But we're honest men. One brother is no longer with us, and the youngest was at home. And so, we told him, and he said, you must bring your youngest brother back. If you're honest men, then I will give your brother back, and you may freely trade in the land. And they emptied their sacks, and each one of them had a bag of money in his sack. And the brothers and the father were all terrified. They saw the bags of money. Jacob exclaimed, you're robbing me of my children. Joseph is gone. Now Simeon's gone, tied up back there. And now you want to take Benjamin too? Everything's going against me. Me. He's not even thinking about poor Simeon. He's worried about himself. So he's good, but he's not all good here, y'all. And then, but you know, like any father, he's mad at his kids because he's like, first of all, you know, I've lost one child, and now you're trying to get to where I could lose Benjamin, and you've already lost me Simeon. If y'all don't go back, I'll lose him. So he says, you may kill my two sons. Reuben again. He says, Father, you may kill my two sons if I don't bring Benjamin back.